Before I even start what is going to be a spicy video, I hope people give me a chance before they flame me alive. This is a positive video, trust me, but I still can't believe that I even have to say this, but are we still dealing with the fact that being any given color of skin when it comes to hiring practices or activism is still something that this industry, I mean the games industry, thinks is a good idea still? After all the misfires and the losses and more, why? Why are we still doing this? Why am I seeing time and again stories pop up where community managers are still pushing hateful rhetoric that has nothing to do with games they are employed to support, or devs who are singled out, or even studios even, due to their skin color alone? Why does this industry continue to think that it's okay to hate on white skin developers as if they're somehow the devil? First of all, don't harass anyone in this video because it's pointless. I don't want the individuals that I speak about in this video to get attacked or lose their jobs or anything like that, because that is not the point of any of this. I am here to talk about this because it needs to be said, which is stop doing this. Firstly, CD Projekt Red, you know them. They're doing Witcher 4 right now and the next Cyberpunk game, which is apparently Chicago according to rumors, but you know, Cyberpunk, I guess. They're a beloved developer that has had some road bumps from bad launches and of course lying about pursuing agendas like DEI, which then yours truly had to expose myself because the industry just can't help itself but keep lying when the facts are so readily available. And The Witcher 4 is CD's next game. It stars Ciri and they released a showcase recently that wowed everyone. Then they admitted that it was all not in-game and not representative of the actual game as seen here from VGC, where they confirm that CD Projekt Red has confirmed to VGC that what was shown at the State of Unreal presentation today was a tech demo set in the Witcher 4 world, but not the game itself. Yep, this pissed everyone off, and rightfully so, because it just kept showing how no matter what, this industry, for whatever reason, still wants to operate in smoke and mirrors. Then Savvy, here's her Twitter page on screen by the way, then discovered that the community manager at CD Projekt Red is advocating for all kinds of nonsense. Stuff like climate change or even inclusion and diversity, still for God's sakes. All the tried and true things that every modern day community manager just keeps pushing these days. I'm not kidding either. Over a year ago, I exposed how there was, and likely still is, entire Discord servers that are full of community managers that all talk and operate together in secret to ensure that every single game that they can get their hands on has the same values and opinions on literally everything. So this brings me to the community manager of CD Projekt Red. I won't reveal her name nor her face because honestly, none of that matters. I'll be respectful of her identity, and again, I don't want her to be harassed. However, all I ask is that in this video, I say my piece as to why I'm tired of this sort of stuff. So this community manager who oversees everything CD Projekt Red wise says that they are, as seen here, passionate about climate and sustainability initiatives, politics, oh god, accessibility, and inclusion. The only thing there that has anything to do with Witcher or really Cyberpunk maybe is accessibility. The rest are just the usual buzzwords that I would hope would be phased out of the industry already, but sadly aren't. Again, I'm not harassing this person, and this video is more so an overview of both CDPR, and I'll get into Sandfall later with the whole Claire Obscure thing because that is yet another can of worms that you just gotta see to believe, man, trust me. But the point remains that I was hoping that CDPR was past these things, yet it seems like they aren't. Savvy also discovered that this community manager retweeted things like this, which reads, "You can't post your way out of fascism. Authoritarians and tech CEOs now share the same goal, to keep us locked in an eternal doom scroll instead of organizing against them." Fascism, guys? Really? Oh my god, there's so many more bigger problems in games right now than arguing that someone doesn't agree with your politics. I mean, the Switch 2 just cooked the entire industry with an insane price gouging thing, but people are still mad that someone with a different opinion exists in gaming. Oh boy. Again, I don't care if a community manager is a leftist or there's some person on the right or anything else. Your job is just to bring people together, man. Yet these days, it seems like community managers are more about dividing people up into groups based on who they like and don't, which if you ask me is the antithesis of what a community manager is meant to do. You don't need to like everyone. But if you're openly supporting things saying the gamers or CEOs, I guess, are fascists, like, are you kidding me, guys? By the way, the same community manager on Blue Sky was found retweeting someone who specifically calls out how Blue Sky is obsessed with grums, and they shouldn't keep talking about him. The tweet that the CM retweeted then says, "Seeing a lot of grums in my feed despite the fact he doesn't even have an account here, please stop." This is probably the first sensible thing this community manager at CDPR has retweeted, if you ask me. Look, I understand that there were those who were still mad about the fallout of last year's whole Gamergate thing, which completely obliterated the activism that was deeply rooted in this industry angry, and rightfully so. I know it's still there. I know it's just gone mostly underground, but the point is that the last thing that CDPR needs right now is more activism and more division. You guys got called out, rightfully so, for pushing Witcher 4 as this legit thing when people got really upset when you then admitted that it was a tech demo. And even when your CEO has tried to shame me specifically a year ago, saying that his company has no DEI in it, which you can see here on screen where the CEO of CDPR says that I was lying and that my info was incorrect. The DEI had nothing to do with CDPR, yet I then had to expose them and even reverse the community note that people tried to place on my tweets because what I was saying was actually correct. And then even like Asmongold and stuff, everyone just pushed back because he was lying. You can't say DEI or activism is not in your company when the CDPR website has a whole section with images that just says, yeah, we 100% support DEI and inclusion. I mean, look at this. It reads, our purpose is to create revolutionary role-playing games with memorable stories that inspire gamers. We can only deliver on these goals and promises with an amazing, passionate team whose talents and professional skills reflect the breadth of experience in the world. A diverse and inclusive work environment boosts creativity and innovation, which is exactly what we need in order to push the limits of technology and storytelling. So you can't say one thing but then be doing another thing, you know? It's just disingenuous. I know that it comes off as hypocritical, of course, like recently Activision Blizzard decided to tweet about Pride Month and say that your voice matters, but then they locked the comments. And then even Alex Zedra, who is an operator model in Call of Duty even, said this in response. Everyone deserves to be seen and heard, but we're gonna turn off the comments so you're not seen and heard. Again, what are we even doing here, guys? Why is it that when games should be returning to being fun and about the games itself, we're still pushing this nonsense anyways? Again, I'm not attacking CDPR's community manager here. They're allowed to have their opinions and voice whatever it is that they want. But when it comes to being a public figure, we need to understand that it comes with things attached. Does that make sense to everyone watching? Also, I should clarify, because I know some may say I'm harassing this person when I'm not. I blurred out their face, their name, everything. But again, this is the internet. People are public figures. Like if someone voices their discomfort about me, it doesn't mean that I'm going to go soothe them or cry about it. Because we need to be adults here and understand that if you choose to operate in this online space, your actions will come with the consequences of free speech. And yes, it goes both ways. I don't think someone talking about me should be censored, or if someone makes a video about me that I should get people to report their video or whatever else. No, it's stupid. If someone doesn't like me, that's fine. We are gonna live. It's okay. It's their opinion and they're entitled to that. Again, this community manager is obviously doing well enough to be there for 8 years at CDPR. But all I ask of CDPR is to please stop dividing your fan base with stupid stuff like this when you don't have to. We don't need to know that your CMs think people they disagree with are fascists or they hate grums or something. The worst thing you can do right now is focus on things like this instead of just making cool games. And I promise you, if you just do that, it'll be better for you in the future. And for the CM, again, I'm not harassing you. I just hope they take this criticism in an adult manner here. You're allowed to say what you want, but understand that with your position, how it comes off. It's like if I said something that people disagree with too, like here, back in 2020, when you can see a CDPR dev saying that they want to hit gamers. I blocked out their names and all that out of respect for their identities. But again, why? Can we please move past this already and just start building bridges? Why are we still doing this bitterness act? It's not going to help anything. And there's no point in denying it when CDPR has had this video for the past 2 years exist on YouTube where they very evidently support DEI and ESG. I mean, come on guys, look at this for God's sakes. Why are we lying about it? And I don't understand personally why CDPR as a company feels like this, how do I put it? Embarrassment, I guess, would be a good word, that their dev studio is predominantly white. I've noticed that a lot around the place, and it's kind of really weird to me. Like, history lesson time. CDPR was founded in Poland, of all places, one of the most homogenous white populations on the planet, with a vast majority of their people being Christians as well, yet these days, you couldn't really tell that by looking at what they make, because they seemingly want to go out of their way to ensure that they are anything but what they originally were in the first place. And my question is, why is it not okay for places like CDPR and others to be okay with the fact that their unique identity is that they're of Polish or even white descent? There's clearly something in the water over there, since besides Witcher, you got Cyberpunk and more recently stuff like Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon. That came out of Poland too. Hell, even Dawnwalker from the ex-Witcher 3 director is made by primarily Polish developers obviously too. This may be an uncomfortable question to ask, but as someone who is Serbian and Armenian myself, why are dev studios so afraid to admit that they're white? And also, what's wrong with that? Why is it okay to celebrate when other kinds of developers exist or studios, but when you're white, it's suddenly suddenly the devil somehow. This then relates to another story about Clair Obscur Expedition 33. In case you didn't know, that game is made by French people. Primarily their team is white as well, not fully, but mostly. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way, the same way that Black Myth Wukong was made by a bunch of Chinese devs, and I mean, so what? That's cool. Anyway, recently Clair Obscur's dev studio Sandfall Interactive has been targeted and deemed racist because, you guessed it, they're too white. And allegedly there's false stories being spread about them that Sandfall believes are just going to spread hate, which I agree. So, what the hell happened? Okay, this all began when a user named Hossein, don't harass them by the way, said this in French, but with the power of Google Translate, they said, as it reads here, we don't forget that they refused to hire non-French or non-colored people before even looking at the CV. Not because it's good to suck at the game, but we have to start denouncing the studio's problem. So, this tweet made people go WTF, because what do you mean that Sandfall, which made Clair Obscur, refused to hire non-white developers? Then, more got allegedly leaked from a Discord where someone who tried to apply to Sandfall Interactive revealed their experience trying to get hired who also wasn't white. Again, it's in French, but translation says, as it reads here, basically when I was finishing my studies, a friend and I, who isn't French and is racialized for the record, would go around the studios in Montpellier to hand out resumes in person. When we arrived at Sandfall, those bastards just yelled at us saying they're not hiring and anyway they don't take juniors, etc. And they threw us out without taking our resumes, and sometime later I learned that a guy I know who's white was hired there. Today I learned that their level designer is a Raptor fan, and Skip, the leads are former Ubisoft employees who left during the wave of reports of assault and harassment, and that according to them, the studio is too woke. Okay, so a lot of allegations were said here with zero ways of proving it if true. So Sandfall is racist according to this person, and then the lead devs who formed Sandfall are also apparently anti-DEI, and they left Ubisoft to start their own studio because Ubisoft was obviously, as we all know, going down the pro-diversity way with literally everything. Could this all be true? I don't know, but claiming that they threw your resumes out and told you to leave is a hell of a claim. Because first of all, let's be real, why would Sandfall even do that? Because the PR situation there would be a hellscape. So you're telling me that two people who weren't white, I guess, waltzed into their offices, they saw their skin color, and then went in a French way, no, 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 and then kicked them out and then yelled at them for that? Really? I don't know. Doesn't make much sense to me, especially because Sandfall does have people of other backgrounds, not just French, on the team. So then began the claim that Clair Obscur was made by a small group of so-called dun-dun-dun racist developers. Oh boy. As one user would reply by saying, there were more than 33 developers, the Asians who worked on the game are not highlighted. A person of color reported being rejected for a developer position, which inevitably gets people talking. The game itself doesn't really follow the woke codes, with racialized characters highlighted as well as their teams in the photo. This appeals to fascists and is politically exploited by racist video game fans for their anti-diversity fight. It also raises eyebrows among leftists. Moreover, the nationalist and patriotic discourse was very present in the promotion of this game, which makes some people suspicious of the creator's underlying ideologies, but in short, in any case, the game is good, and there's no point in making a judgment on their intentions without concrete evidence. It's probably just a coincidence. Wow, so the game is racist because it promotes French culture of all things, which is based on what French people are, which are, I mean, I'm just going to say what it is, they're originally white people. I mean, it is. That is what it is. And they have certain types of architecture and music motifs and ways of talking that are French, which is all present in the game if you played it. For an example, many French words are interwoven even into the English dub. Merde is a good example, which is used a lot in game. So the problem here is that Clair Obscur was made by French people, and because it's good, this means only one thing, and that is that it's racist. You ask me? Yeah, this is stupid. Also, it's kind of a cell phone too if you think about it, because what these detractors are basically insinuating is that due to the lack of supposed diversity in Sandfall Interactive, that is why their game is so amazing, which may not be the win these types should be pushing if they're pro-diversity, by the way, but that's a spicy claim by these people either way, no matter how you look at it. Also, claiming that the Asian devs who were outsourced are not in the image of their core studios, so you mean like every studio then ever? Because most studios following game releases are only, taking photos of the in-house people. That's like across the board. This is true of literally almost every game ever, so cherry-picking Clair here is kind of stupid. Even CDPR has posted photos of their dev teams without outsourced talent when Witcher 3 was made. Does that make them racist too? I mean, probably in these people's eyes, let's be real. Like, for example, back in 2015 when Witcher 3 released, you had articles like this claiming that the game was racist because it was predominantly only white people in Witcher 3's world, not realizing that the games are based on novels by a Polish guy who derived the world of Witcher from that of Slavic mythology, architecture, and life. So of course, Witcher is going to be full of white people if the guy who wrote it was born in a place full of white people decades before diversity pushing was even a thing. Also a reminder, it's not like Witcher was written 10 years ago. The first Witcher story came out in 1986, and the first book was published in 1992, the same year I was born, so that's 32 years ago. So you can't be mad that something so in line and defined by Poland as a nation reflects what the writer wrote about. After all, writers pull from inspirations around them. That's how it's always been, but this strong-arming and shaming of stories is so needless and frankly insulting. The Witcher is a Slavic story. There's nothing you can do or say that doesn't otherwise prove that. For God's sakes, in that new CGI trailer where they first showed off Ciri when they announced Witcher 4 proper, Ciri is seen jumping into the woods to save this girl. She ends up fighting a big, huge monster that's like terrorizing the city folk. Anyway, that monster is called a Bok. This, or Bok, or Bok, whatever, doesn't matter. This creature, with its multi-arms and ability to mimic the vocal patterns of humans, is a mythological creature that's specifically derived from Serbian mythology, which, yes, surprise, I am too Serbian. So, Ciri is literally fighting a monster from my people's folktales. Like, that's really cool, but also there's no point in denying or trying to shame CDPR like this. That's really kind of the point of this video with both Witcher and Claire Obscure and that community manager. I just want everyone to understand that I am genuinely tired of this anti-white agenda that is being pushed not just in games, but everywhere too. The fact it is not seen as okay to be proud of being white these days is honestly disgusting to me. There's nothing wrong with being white, despite what some college professor believes or some activist tries to push 24/7 all of the time. Like, you also have this article from 2015 when Witcher 3 released from PC Gamer, and it's titled 50 Shades of White, Witcher 3 Dev Talks Race and Adapting Literature. As for the Witcher devs that were interviewed for this piece, which then reads, beyond the challenges of developing a game with such a laser focus on the politics of Poland, the team also spent the hour discussing the difficulties inherent in bringing the words on a page to life on a screen. A lot of these problems stem from finding ways to take aspects of Polish culture and present them in a manner that wasn't alienating to foreign audiences. So this is proof that Witcher 3 was both designed from the ground up with the identity and the beliefs of Poland as a country as the basis of the game. And lo and behold, due to this unique outlook, The Witcher 3 has sold over 60 million copies, made over $600 million, and won multiple Games of the Year. And when you compare it to Claire Obscure, which is honestly in a very similar way in terms of like the quality and what it represents, which I guess you could just replace Poland with French here, but both with origins of white people despite what some college professor will try to tell you otherwise, it actually gives both of these games their own unique flavors. Polish and French people couldn't be more different in their customs or ways of life. The only connection these two have is that they have white skin. That's it. White culture is incredibly diverse. You actually can't sit there and be stupid and tell me that Nordic mythology, you know, like Odin and Thor, is anywhere close to that Bok creature in Serbian mythology, yet they're all from white cultures. For God's sakes, the word vampire originated from the Serbian language. It's the one word the English language originates from Serbs. Vampire, or as I said in Serbian, which is vampire, is a Serbian word. So you've been saying a Serbian word your entire lives and didn't even know about it. Because vampires too, they originate from Slavic mythology. And yet, when I look at both Witcher and Claire Obscure, I notice another prevailing problem that is not nearly talked about enough, which is that why is it that whenever white developers pull from their ancestry, their heritage, or their customs, they need to explain themselves like CDPR did in 2015, or Sandfall right now being called racist because the game is unapologetically French? And where are the articles where other kinds of games need to explain themselves in similar fashions? Oh, sorry, our game is too Japanese or Chinese. Our bad, that just so happens when everyone who made it was born in these countries and raised in those customs, we apologize for that. No, just no. There's nothing wrong with making a game that has tangible ties to any one place on this earth. If you ask me, that's real diversity in game design, and I know some people hate to hear that, but it's true. Because if every game needs to have a checklist of every kind of person imaginable under the sun working on that game, or it's suddenly deemed racist, does that not mean that every game would just be the same thing if it needs to adhere to all of these people's belief systems and ideas? Yet the coolest games are usually the ones where honestly the teams are a bit homogenized, and I mean that in every way. Black, white, Asian, doesn't matter. Because it means that those games get made that way, they have a singular identity instead of having, well, let's just say it how it is, too many cooks in the kitchen. Metal Gear or Final Fantasy, they're cool because it's Japanese. Black Myth Wukong is amazing because it's Chinese. Claire Obscure is great because of its French roots, and The Witcher is what it is because Polish people made it because it represents their culture. And I'm tired of this industry trying to shame developers, players, and more that they're suddenly racist for things that they actually can't control. Sandfall would even respond to these racist claims with this post that reads, "We've noticed discussions online concerning us and our values. So we want to make this absolutely clear. Expedition 33 was created with respect and tolerance by teams and partners from diverse backgrounds, cultures, and perspectives. Our game was crafted with love. Please don't weaponize it to spread hate." And that that same sentiment should be a reminder to everyone, including CD Projekt Red, or that community manager who insists on still pushing the rhetoric that gamers are fascist and so on, that we all need to collectively move on. We need to stop this hate. I know it's ironic somewhat coming from me, but I like to think that I'm at least trying to live by example here. My content has shifted. I do regret some of the things I said in the past. I'm trying to change things, and I think many have obviously noticed that, but the mission for me is still always the same. I just want video games to be great, and the people who make them to stop thinking that the players, that means us, that we're somehow the enemy. We need to stop this nonsense, and especially this anti-white stupidity that is still prevailing even to this day. And if you ask me, Claire Obscura Expedition 33 is not racist, and The Witcher does not need to apologize for nothing. But when activists shame Sandfall for being too white and CDPR is still engaging in this sort of rhetoric, it just needs to be called out. But what do you think about all of this? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.